my mask of sanity is about to slip.
I'm the Homelander, and I can do whatever I want.
What do you get
I don't think so.
when you cross
I think
a
we're
mentally
done
ill
with
loner
this.
with a
That's it.
society that abandons him and treats him like
Call
trash?
the police,
I'll
Gene.
tell you what you get.
Call the police.
And get what you deserve.
Welcome back to Once We're Famous. Every great movie needs a great villain. These are the characters who make us squirm, scream, and sometimes even root for the heroes just a little harder. But there's something universally satisfying about seeing them finally get what's coming to them. Whether it's an epic showdown, poetic justice, or just pure karma, today we're counting down the 20 most satisfying movie villain deaths ever. Spoiler warning for the following films, so if you haven't seen them yet, proceed with caution. Number 20, Bane, The Dark Knight Rises, year 2012. First up is Bane, the towering villain who broke Batman both physically and mentally, is one of the most imposing figures in The Dark Knight Rises. But his end comes swiftly when Catwoman blasts him away with the Batpod. It's an explosive and sudden demise for a villain who seemed larger than life. Number 19, Mola Ram, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, year 1984. Next is Mola Ram, the villainous cult leader from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Throughout the movie, Mola Ram performs dark rituals, enslaves children, and attempts to rip out Indy's heart, literally. So when Indiana Jones cuts the bridge and Mola Ram falls to his death, plunging into a crocodile-infested river, it's incredibly satisfying. This scene perfectly embodies the spirit of adventure movies and serves as a fitting end to a truly despicable villain. Number 18, Agent Smith, The Matrix Revolutions, year 2003. Agent Smith, the relentless AI antagonist, is an unstoppable force throughout the Matrix trilogy. But in the final battle, Neo allows himself to be assimilated, causing a chain reaction that destroys Smith from within. Watching the ever-smug Smith dissolve into nothing is a visually stunning and deeply satisfying conclusion to their battle. Number 17, Colonel Tavington, The Patriot, year 2000. Colonel William Tavington, the brutal British officer in The Patriot, is known for his merciless tactics and ruthless slaughter of innocents during the American Revolution. His cold-blooded cruelty makes him a villain you love to hate. The moment of satisfaction comes in his final confrontation with Benjamin Martin. After a fierce duel, Martin gains the upper hand, driving a bayonet through Tavington in a moment that feels like pure justice for all the atrocities he committed. Tavington's demise is not only satisfying, but also symbolic, marking the end of tyranny and oppression in the story. Watching him fall after all his vicious actions gives the audience a sense of triumph and closure. Number 16, Hans Gruber, Die Hard, year 1988. Hans Gruber, the cold and calculating terrorist from Die Hard, made a career of being one step ahead of everyone else. But when John McClane delivers that iconic yippee-ki-yay and sends him plummeting from the skyscraper, it's a cinematic moment that never gets old. The slow-motion fall, his shocked expression, it's a moment that's truly satisfying as Gruber realizes, at last, he's lost. Number 15, Emperor Palpatine, Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, year 1983. Emperor Palpatine, the mastermind behind the dark side, is one of the most hated villains in Star Wars. When Darth Vader finally turns against him to save his son, it's a pivotal and emotional moment. Vader throws Palpatine into the reactor shaft, where he explodes in a blaze of electricity. It's not just satisfying because of the spectacular visuals, but because it symbolizes Vader's redemption. Number 14, Bellatrix Lestrange, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, year 2011. Bellatrix Lestrange is responsible for some of the darkest moments in the Harry Potter series, including the death of beloved characters. So, when Molly Weasley shouts the now iconic line, "Not my daughter, you blank," and annihilates her with a spell, audiences everywhere cheered. Bellatrix's demise is not just satisfying, it's long-awaited justice. Number 13, Scar, The Lion King, year 1994. The treacherous Scar murders his own brother Mufasa and takes over the Pride Lands. But his reign comes to a fiery end when he's betrayed by the very hyenas he once manipulated. As the flames close in, Scar's fate is sealed. There's something incredibly satisfying about seeing the villain brought down by his own wickedness and deceit. Number 12, T-1000, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, year 1991. The T-1000 is an unstoppable killing machine in Terminator 2. It morphs, regenerates, and seems virtually indestructible. But when it's finally pushed into molten metal, it slowly melts away, writhing and glitching in its final moments. This is not just a victory for the heroes, but for everyone who spent the movie in awe of this terrifying villain. Number 11, Bill, Kil Bill, Volume 2, year 2004. Bill, the titular villain of Kil Bill, is the master assassin who betrayed the bride, leading to her quest for vengeance. Throughout both films, the audience anticipates the moment when she finally gets her revenge. But instead of an epic sword fight, their final confrontation is a quiet, emotional conversation that leads to the bride using the legendary 5-point palm exploding heart technique. As Bill takes his final steps, knowing he's already dead, the tension is palpable. His death is serene yet incredibly powerful, providing one of the most satisfying and poetic conclusions to any revenge story in cinema history. Watching Bill gracefully accept his fate, collapsing after his 5th step, is the perfect culmination of the bride's journey for justice. Number 10, Colonel Miles Quaritch, Avatar, year 2009. Colonel Quaritch, the ruthless military leader in Avatar, is relentless in his pursuit to wipe out the Na'vi. But his fate is sealed when Neytiri, embodying the fierce spirit of her people, shoots him straight through the chest with an arrow. Watching the mighty colonel fall after all the damage he's caused is a moment of sweet justice. His death symbolizes the triumph of nature over unchecked militarism, and it's as visually stunning as it is narratively fulfilling. Number 9, Benny, the Mummy, year 1999. Benny, the sniveling and treacherous sidekick in The Mummy, is the perfect example of a villain who meets his end due to his own greed. Throughout the film, Benny double-crosses his supposed friends, siding with the evil Imhotep in exchange for riches. But in the end, it's his lust for gold that seals his fate. Trapped inside the collapsing treasure chamber, Benny accidentally locks himself in with a horde of flesh-eating scarabs. As his lantern slowly dims, and the sound of the scarabs grows louder, his terrified face says it all. It's a moment of ironic justice as Benny, always looking out for number 1, is finally caught by the very greed that drove him. His off-screen death is both chilling and deeply satisfying, giving the audience a sense of closure for this backstabbing character. Number 8, Golem, the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, year 2003. Golem's obsession with the One Ring is his undoing in The Return of the King. As he finally retrieves the ring from Frodo, his joy turns to horror as he tumbles into the fiery depths of Mount Doom. It's a tragic but fitting end for a character consumed by greed and madness. Seeing the ring destroyed along with him makes it all the more satisfying. Number 7, the Xenomorph Alien, year 1979. The xenomorph in Alien is one of the most terrifying creatures in sci-fi horror, stalking the crew of the Nostromo with deadly precision. For the entire movie, it seems unstoppable, a perfect killing machine. But in the final moments, Ellen Ripley outsmarts the creature by luring it into an airlock and blasting it into the cold void of space. As the xenomorph writhes in agony, its demise feels like a hard-earned victory after the harrowing, claustrophobic terror it unleashed. The visual of the creature being sucked into space, powerless and defeated, is a deeply satisfying end to one of cinema's most iconic monsters. Number 6, Magua, the Last of the Mohicans, year 1992. Magua, the ruthless Huron war chief, is driven by vengeance throughout the Last of the Mohicans, seeking to destroy the family of Colonel Monroe. His cold-blooded killing and manipulation make him a truly formidable villain. But in the film's climax, Magua faces the wrath of Chingachgook, the last of the Mohican tribe. The final fight is brutal and intense, and Chingachgook's swift and lethal strike feels like the ultimate retribution for all of Magua's cruelty. Watching the villain fall, knowing justice has been served, is deeply satisfying and resonates on an emotional level as the conclusion of a personal and cultural conflict. Number 5, Voldemort, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, year 2011. Lord Voldemort, the Dark Lord, terrorized the wizarding world for years with his quest for immortality and domination. But in the final battle at Hogwarts, His demise comes not from a grand duel, but from his own arrogance. Believing himself invincible, Voldemort fails to realize that the Elder Wand's loyalty belongs to Hary, not him. When the wand backfires, Voldemort is stripped of his power and disintegrates into nothingness, his body crumbling away into dust. It's not only a victory for Hary, but for everyone who suffered under Voldemort's reign. Watching the villain who was once feared by all dissolve into nothingness is the ultimate moment of justice and satisfaction. Number 4. Thanos, Avengers, Endgame, year 2019. Few villains have made an impact as huge as Thanos. After wiping out half of all life in the universe, he seems unbeatable in Avengers Endgame. But when Tony Stark delivers the final blow with the Infinity Gauntlet, snapping his fingers and turning Thanos and his army to dust, it's a moment that feels both epic and earned. The entire arc of multiple films leads up to this climactic death, and seeing Thanos slowly fade away, powerless to stop his demise, is a moment of pure satisfaction. Number 3. King Joffrey, Game of Thrones, year 2014. Although this one comes from TV, Joffrey Baratheon's death is one of the most satisfying moments in Game of Thrones. After seasons of cruelty, sadism, and outright evil, the young king meets a painful, choking demise at his own wedding. Seeing him gasp for air, clutching his throat as chaos ensues, is a moment fans had long awaited. Number 2. Commodus Gladiator, year 2000. In Gladiator, Commodus is a sniveling and cowardly emperor who betrays and murders his way to power. When Maximus, the true hero, finally gets to face him in the Colosseum, it's a brutal but fitting end for the treacherous ruler. Maximus, though wounded, manages to defeat Commodus in a fight that leaves audiences cheering for justice. Number 1. Sauron, The Eye of Sauron, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, year 2003. Now for pure evil at number 1. Sauron, the Dark Lord, is the embodiment of pure evil throughout the Lord of the Rings trilogy. His reign of terror and control over Middle-earth hinges on the existence of the One Ring. After countless battles and sacrifices, Frodo and Sam finally succeed in destroying the ring at Mount Doom, leading to Sauron's ultimate downfall. As the ring melts in the lava, the Eye of Sauron erupts into a massive, fiery collapse, with the tower crumbling and the dark power that once seemed invincible being completely obliterated. This death is incredibly satisfying, not only because it marks the end of an era of darkness, but also because it's the culmination of the entire journey. The visual of Sauron's destruction is as epic as it is triumphant, giving the audience a deeply cathartic moment of victory. And there you have it. From falling off cliffs to being melted, exploded, or impaled, these villains all got what was coming to them in the most satisfying ways possible. Whether it's poetic justice or pure revenge, these movie moments stick with us long after the credits roll. Did your favorite villain death make the list? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all things film and TV. This is another video from Once We're Famous. Thanks for watching!